For as long as I can remember, I've always been enamored with extraction shooters. The slow, methodical pace, the anxiety you feel as you creep through a building, and the sudden jolt of adrenaline when you hear footsteps that aren't yours.
Here, everyone's out for themselves, and nobody has any problem with killing you and taking the gear right off of your back.
I've spent countless hours in these games, running from one corner to the next and hoarding as much gear as I possibly can. But there's always been one small problem. I'm terrible at extraction shooters. The extraction genre is cruel. It's essentially just a giant risk-reward simulator. Players will provide their own gear and supplies for a run, and if they die, then all of that loot is lost forever.
You could be having the smoothest, easiest, most professional run of your life just to get laser beamed by some kid hiding in a bush somewhere. And then there's me, a man who is notoriously bad at shooter games. So what do you think happened when I booted one of these up? I died. A lot. It was pretty bad.
But recently, the developers over at More Fun Studios reached out to me and asked if I'd be interested in checking out their game. And while I would like to sit here and pretend like I was too good to go back to the genre that kept kicking my ass, some little part of me was interested to see if I could lift myself back up off the canvas. This time though, I decided that I'd approach things just a little bit differently.
You see, rather than just queuing right back up in the lobby after I got killed, I began to treat each of my failed runs as valuable data. Every time I got killed in game, I would document where, how, and why it happened. And then I would take that information and log it into a spreadsheet. Exciting, I know.
The idea here was pretty simple though. Once I died in the game enough times, some basic patterns would start to emerge and show me what it was that I needed to improve on. Now, luckily for me, ABI provides all kinds of data for the player to analyze post-match, including the exact routes they took, where firefights took place, how long a player stayed in a certain area, among a variety of other things. I was going to try and use this data to hammer home a couple of different things. Firstly, which routes were the most dangerous? Now, naturally, I didn't want to rat my way throughout the game because I wouldn't really ever be getting better at it that way. But it was important to identify which POIs consistently had high player activity. If I could identify these areas, not only would it give me a better understanding of each map, but it would also let me prioritize which areas I needed to go to first. In extraction shooters, it's typically a good idea to start towards the high player dense areas in the beginning before slowly shifting your focus towards an exfil point. The logic behind this being that you don't want to risk all of your loot right at the end of the mission. If I knew which POIs were legitimate hotspots, it'd let me know how I needed to plan my raid. Secondly, this data would give me an idea of how long I usually survived in a match. It would show whether I was dying from being too reckless in the beginning of the raid, or if my greed got me killed towards the end of them.
Finally, at the end of each extraction, we actually have the opportunity to watch a kill cam. You literally get to see what killed you.
And this in particular would be really valuable in showing me where I made a mistake. Did I allow myself to get flanked? Was I simply not aware of my surroundings? Having video footage of what actually killed me would play an enormous role in making me better. So with this new mindset and my spreadsheet ready to go, I began my journey into the dark zone. Now, the map that I primarily ran at the beginning was called Valley. It was filled with really wide open fields, which suited me a lot more than some of the other maps, which felt more tight and claustrophobic. Valley is also, in my opinion, a really bad map for rats. And while there are different spots where you can definitely camp and be an asshole at, the vast majority of the map isn't like that. All of Valley's POIs are spread far enough away from each other to where you'd have to travel a considerable distance to get to them. And that isn't to mention that most of the time, your extract is on the complete opposite side of the map. Meaning that even if you prefer to play with a rat sort of playstyle, eventually you're gonna have to maneuver your way through these wide open spaces. And I figured that this sort of dynamic would really benefit me in the long term. While this map might be a bit uncomfortable to travel through at first, it eventually teach me how to actually play the game. Things like when I should engage other enemies, what type of routes I should take, and most importantly, how to maneuver through open spaces undetected. As I began to play more and more matches, one of the things that I noticed was that I had a really bad tendency of just standing right out in the open. While I would try to stick to trees and other cover when I was moving, a lot of my sniping and lookout positions were way too basic.
For instance, take a look at this scenery around me, right? If I were to tell you that there was a sniper hiding somewhere in this position, where do you think they'd be? You have 2 seconds to answer. If you answered, gee, Isaac, I don't know, maybe the giant, obvious wooden sniping platform off to the left, you would be correct. But I'm afraid you were too late. The first thing that most players do when they pass a spot like this is check it for snipers, and 9 times out of 10, that's where I was. What a fucking idiot.
And this is a really easy trap for new players to fall into. These areas make you feel safe, like you have the advantage. But chances are, if you can see everyone, everyone can see you too. So instead of relying on these obvious areas, I started to look for positions that felt normal, angles that people wouldn't naturally check, spots that didn't immediately read as a threat. Now, most of the time, this just meant pressing up against trees and bushes and crouching or proning to take up less space on the screen. But sometimes it wasn't as easy. For instance, shadows of all things became a constant problem. There were plenty of times where I thought I was perfectly concealed, only to realize that my shadow was exposing my position. And because of this, it would eventually become a habit of mine to stand a bit further back in the shadows so mine wasn't immediately visible. These same sort of principles would apply to interiors as well. Rather than just peering out of windows like an idiot, I now made it a point to stand further away from them, sometimes even using other walls to disrupt the sightlines that my enemies may have had on me. Now, none of these techniques were ones that I started out with, though. It took me dying dozens of times to some of the stupidest decisions imaginable before I finally started to piece together what I was doing wrong. And eventually, after a while, the spreadsheet began to show me some more patterns. Based on all my deaths up until this point, a massive portion of them were occurring in the area between factory, Noan Courtyard, and supply camp. Given the close vicinity that all of these POIs had with one another, it naturally was a really popular area for players to travel through. And while I always had a general idea that this area was dangerous, I didn't really understand how dangerous it was until I looked at the numbers.
Of the nearly 50 deaths that I experienced on Valley, 42 of them occurred in this area. To put it simply, this spot was sort of like the Bermuda Triangle of Valley, and almost everything bad that happened to me happened here.
So, going forward, I made it a huge point of emphasis to stay on my toes here.
Another interesting pattern that popped up was that I was kind of just a jackass.
Anybody that's ever played a tactical shooter long enough knows that more often than not, we're our own worst enemy. You can walk up and see a literal trail of corpses leading down a road, and instead of running away, we'll say,
I mean, the guy that did this is probably gone by now.
Now, I don't want to sit here and oversimplify things and just say that all of my mistakes were the same, because they weren't. But what most of my failures here could be attributed to was a lack of restraint. You see, instead of creeping around a sketchy area and scoping out the perimeter, I would just dive straight into it. Instead of trying to stealthily take out enemies and not draw attention to myself, I would get into massive firefights. Decisions like these left me prone to being ambushed and third-partied, which were situations that were very difficult to get out of. So a big point for me in my matches going forward was to take things a bit slower and quieter. I decided to change my gear to better fit this playstyle too, trading out my basic assault rifle for one with a suppressor and scope attached. This way I could engage enemies from further away and they would have a harder time telling where I was coming from. I also decided to buy a better headset as it magnified ambient noises like footsteps and gunshots. Someone could be trying to quietly creep behind me, but with this headset equipped, I would know where they were coming from. My main goal with all of this stuff though was just to make sure that no one else could get the drop on me. And to my surprise, this loadout and playstyle actually worked. This is the danger zone right now. It spawned me in right next to the bad time danger zone. I'm not quite sure how to feel about that yet. We've already got a guy down here, and that just looks to be like a regular CPU here. We'll take him out. So I think we're about to walk up on the Bermuda Triangle here. Yeah, so we're at the northern kind of point of all that nonsense. Oh shit, where did I get shot from? Had to have been out here somewhere. Let's loop around this way. I really don't want to get into a firefight right in the middle of all that craziness. I think we're the first guys here at a factory. I am hearing like suppressed gunfire off in the distance, though, so someone is certainly on their way. Damn, that dude kind of fucking had hands. Oh, we're low-key surrounded, chat. Uh-oh. Jesus. Okay, fuck that. Okay. Oh, there's way too much movement in here. I'm so glad I've got the new headset, but it is so stress-inducing being able to hear every little footstep. I hear where somebody must have smoked a guy outside. I'm just hearing all these grunts of fucking pain and misery. Nobody got to the safe yet, so that's good. Also can use the time to reload. Here we go. What we got? Big money, big money, big money. Mid. It's right above me. That's a player for sure. Get got, dude. I don't think he has a teammate. No, there's more. There's more for sure. Am I getting fucking flanked? That is definitely what it sounds like. They know I'm down here. Oh, there's some shit going on, fellas. Should I, like, just try and hide and wait for them? Would that be a goofy fucking thing to do? They've low-key got me fucking pigeonholed, man. There's nowhere I can go. I have to just wait for him. He definitely thinks I'm in a spot I'm not at, though. And he also has hella fucking stun grenades. Dude, how many grenades has this guy got? I've heard at least 6 while I've been down here. I want to say they're up here, but I can't tell. These headsets can be a little too good sometimes, if you know what I mean. Got one of them anyway. All right, where's his buddy? Got both of them, dude. Nice. Let's go. Oh my gosh, I'm completely out of ammo. Not good. Okay. So like this spot right here is like prime danger zone. This big wide open field next to courtyard and factory. This shit gets spooky real quick. See if there's anybody at the courtyard today. That looks like a dead guy. More notably, that looked like a dead guy that I didn't kill. Someone's cooked here. I've got action. It's just another scav though, I think. We'll take him out anyway because we need to head that direction. Cheeky, easy extract, buddy. Too easy. Too easy, man. After a few more runs of this, though, it became clear that this approach was a lot more successful than what I'd been doing in the past. Now that I knew which areas I needed to be careful in, and better tailored my gear to fit my playstyle, I noticed a lot more success in my matches. I was able to engage other players from a distance, and more often than not, they never even saw what hit them. However, just when I thought I'd finally conquered my demons here, though, More Fun Studios decided to throw me a bit of a challenge. They wanted me to try out their new map, the Distorted Valley, and from everything they had told me about it, it was intense. Now, the map itself looked to be a one-to-one replica of the regular Valley map that I'd now grown accustomed to. But the more that I looked around, the stranger it became. There were these weird anomalies all over the map, from floating pickup trucks and boats to bizarre black orbs floating in the sky. There were also a variety of new exfil points and requirements players had to have in order to use them. But at the time, I had no clue what any of these new things were. For all I knew, this was just the same old Valley map with a fresh purple coat of paint. But eager to see if my new skills translated into a less familiar environment, I made my drop into the Distorted Valley. Let's do this. I did not have enough time to read all of those. Holy shit. Let's see what this new map's all about here. So from what I've gathered, this is just like the exact same Valley map. I don't know if there's going to be like anything too crazy different about it, but I guess that's sort of the fun of this. See if this guy had anything good. An AK with no dust cover is kind of crazy. Yeah, I'm afraid there's not much I can do with this stuff. He had 2 rolls of toilet paper and an AK with no dust cover. I'm hearing like a pulsating noise. Is that just me? That certainly sounds strange. Oh, yeah, well, this is new. I kind of don't like being this out in the open, but my curiosity is going to get the better of me here. What do you do? Oh, does it just spawn loot? I was expecting to like teleport or something, but loot's cool. I'll take loot. Let's go check out port. I kind of want to see what this floating boat is about. Got dead people that I didn't kill, and I hear movement inside. I don't know if that's a player or if that's more AI. Alright, that certainly sounds close, but I don't know if it's happening at the port. I have an idea. I'm gonna perch up on this hill and wait a second and see if anybody... Well, there is somebody right there. But I think that's AI. Yeah, that's a bot for sure. That's a... I don't know. This has got to be a player. There's 2 of them. Got one. Let's get the other. This is low-key kind of hectic as hell. I'm really surprised that I didn't kill those players sooner, though. I guess he did have a good helmet with him. That tracks. I'm assuming that there's no other players here. I saw that one dude around the back, but that just looked like he was another, like, scab or something. Oh, creepy mannequins. Yeah, not a fan of that. Oh, they move, bro? Oh, hell no, man. Oh, shit. The fuck am I supposed to do here? I don't want to waste ammo on these. Is that... Okay, you can kill them with the knife. That brings me a little bit more comfort, I guess. That's actually fucking crazy that they've got weeping angel mannequins in here. Are all of these that? I guess only some of them. Yeah, that does not spark great joy, dude. Ooh, another black mystery orb. What secrets do you hold? Anything cool? I don't know why I'm doing this. The fuck was that? I think I broke too many of the mystery orbs, guys. Yeah, I do not like that noise. It is not friendly at all. Just saw movement up here. I don't know if it was a player or a scav. I don't like all those dead bodies there, though. Definitely got me feeling a bit uneasy. Of course the extract is right in the middle of, like, the wide open beach. You love to see it. Alright, we're just gonna pray that nobody is left in the round here. Get me the hell out of here. So we just gotta wait. We gotta survive for 30 seconds. I don't think that there's anybody else, but I've had it before. To where you get down to the last second and you just get sniped by somebody. So I'm gonna keep moving for my own sake. Alright. Nice, man. Solid. After playing through this map a couple more times, though, my final record was a lot better than I'd initially expected. And as far as I could tell, it seemed like I'd actually gotten better at the game. Analyzing all my deaths and logging it down actually helped me improve. And while yeah, there were still things that I definitely needed to improve upon, most notably my CQB skills, I think that my strategy of using the spreadsheet here actually worked. I was dying far less, and my performance in Raid had gotten significantly better. Now, full disclosure here, using an entire spreadsheet for this experiment was definitely a bit overkill. I mean, I probably could have gotten away with just using a notepad and writing down how and where I died. The important part here was keeping track of the data itself, because it allowed me to go back and see where I was struggling. A lot of players never really improve because they can never figure out what's actually getting them killed. In their mind, they just got shot, or sniped, or caught off guard. But they never stopped to diagnose the behavior that led up to that moment. And that's where pattern recognition comes in. By taking notes and looking at the situations that I kept dying in, I started to notice some trends, positions that I overused, moments where I got careless. And once I saw those patterns, improving them became a lot easier. And while to some people, this sort of note-taking might just feel like homework, to me I thought it was actually really fun to use the analytics that the game gives you to see if I could improve. In a world where everybody has TTV in their username, sometimes you have to be a bit unorthodox if you want to compete online. And honestly, a spreadsheet and some advanced analytics might just be what you need. Before I end this video though, I just want to give another shout out to More Fun Studios for sponsoring today's video. Their game was the perfect conduit for this experiment and I had a ton of fun playing it, so I would definitely recommend that you guys go and check them out. With all of that being said though, thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch today's video. You know I love you. I'm out.